love, all eyes on me. I'm with a party rock crew. All drinks are free. We like sea rock, we love Patron. We came to party rock. Everybody, it's on.
I recently had a chance to rewatch Dave, the show about rapper Lil'dicky. At first glance, this just looks like yet another lowbrow, high-budget comedy show that premiered on FX and focuses a little bit too much on dick jokes, like Always Sunny or The League. It isn't till you take a closer look you see that this show isn't about Lil'dicky as much as it is about following your dreams. It doesn't matter how you started out or where you started out, you can still achieve your goals and your dreams with enough hard work. This is a story about multiple Daves. It doesn't matter if you're a white Jewish man who recently graduated marketing school, a bipolar black man who's supporting his family, or maybe you're a ginger with an interest in day trading. You can still end up in the same place with enough hard work. When Dave was first in production, it was meant to be more like the eccentric and more ambitious Donald Glover project Atlanta. It was supposed to be more of a race-centered drama following Dave Bird, a white Jewish rapper trying to make it big in the mostly African-American dominant rap game. It still touches on this topic quite a bit. Take episode 4 of season 2, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This episode starts out when the basketball legend discovers the animated rap video LD made for his childhood idol. The episode follows Dave as he tries to convince the Hall of Famer that he really is a good person. By this point in the series, the viewer already knows that Dave isn't that good of a dude. He's very self-centered. That's kind of the theme of the entire second season, how self-centered Dave starts to realize this about himself. It leads to one of the most emotional endings to a season in recent memory. Dave thinks that the meeting with Kareem is going to be a chill event and gets a little high beforehand. It isn't until he hears the first question from the towering basketball player he realizes what this interview is really about. Cultural appropriation. It's very hard to have a hip-hop show starring a white actor without having to deal with this issue. Hip-hop is a big part of African American culture. There just happens to be some white people that are really good at it as well. As a white boy from suburbia Florida, I pretty much had no choice but to grow up on hip-hop and rap music. Artists like Kid Cudi, Kanye West, Wu-Tang Clan, they all really helped sculpt me to the person that I am today. Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon literally saved my life. I have a very strong connection to music. You can tell that Dave also was influenced by rappers like this. There's a scene in season 2 where it shows a flashback of LD before the LD. He is still fresh out of marketing school and working late. Instead of taking the chance to go home, he puts his headphones in and jams out to the new Ye album, dancing in the office like no one's watching. In this one scene, you can really see the love and passion Dave has for his music. It isn't about race for him. He just wants to be the best rapper alive. It's not about black or white. It's about being the best. In the last episode of season 1, LD gets a seat at the Breakfast Club and gets asked a very racial-driven question. This leads to the other Dave having to step up and bail him out. No, not that Dave. Gator. As we learned in episode 5, Mr. Going Against the Average is actually named This isn't the only time that Dave has to bail Dave out. Gator is always there since the time that they first met in the studio. Gator sees Dave as his ride or die. In episode 5, we also learn Gator suffers from bipolar disorder, something I have in common with him. One of the traits of bipolar disorder is you tend to have a more black and white view on life. You're either with me or you're against me. So the fact that Gator accepts Dave so early is very important into the growth of Gator. The episode follows Gator's journey up until the moment him and LD meet at the studio in the first episode. We get to see the beginning of Gator's discovery of the diagnosis. It's very emotional to see his mom react the way that she does. It made me think of my own mother and how she must have felt. Up until this episode, Gator gives off some serious side character energy. But we slowly learn how much he struggled to get to the same studio Lil'dicky walks right into. Gator is able to provide one of the best representations of bipolar disorder on film. When he finally takes that leap of faith and reveals to his new friends his diagnosis, I started to cry. I cried during a show about a messed up penis. That's the beauty of Dave. One episode I would love to talk about in more depth in its own video is the one where Dave gets a date with Doja Cat. Well, she agrees to go on a date, but due to her rising stardom keeping her busy and Dave's insecurities, he sees this as her playing games by ignoring him, not knowing that she is just busy. This episode is very hard to watch. The cringe just irradiates from the television. By showing both Dave and Doja Cat's perspective, we see things that the other doesn't, which leads to some very awkward text messages and some insecurity. Nothing is more dangerous than an insecure man. They will do anything to prove their worth to women they don't truly love just to validate their own self-worth. They do stupid things like that cuck boy from Megamind. Remember Megamind and that cuck boy was, I think it was Jonah Hill that played him? Yeah, I remember you, cuck boy, Megamind, fat boy, thinking that you got superpowers and girls gotta love you now. Nah, fuck that noise. You're just a little cuck boy from Megamind. That's what you are. That's what you are in my head. Insecurity is dangerous. From insecurity to mental health, for a show that is supposed to be a comedy, it has some very deep topics. I highly recommend that you give this show a shot. Even if you've already seen Dave, it might be time to rewatch it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Laters on the Minjay.
Every day I see my dream. Every time I'm diving my pool, it ain't hard to be humble when I do the breaststroke through an underground tunnel and come up on the other side in a jacuzzi being greeted by